Welcome everyone. Today we have our new episode, and this episode is very, very important because we will discuss about women empowerments. We have our world famous speakers and Professor David Smith. Beside that, we have our women leaders, Jennifer. She is a politician. Dulcie, startup consultants. Richa, she is a media personnel, as well as we have Diani from Africa. She's also academician. Professor David Smith, first I want to give you a chance how you want to define this women empowerment.
Sorry, were you talking to me?
I am asking Professor David Smith.
Oh, sorry. Uh, yeah, to me, I love this topic. It's one that is so timely and pertinent today. If you begin to look at particularly what the United Nations has done, it's very empowering as you begin to see the breadth of what they're doing and even some of the impacts going forward. One of the things that I see as I think about female empowerment is you see across some very interesting top line areas, such as safety, such as education, such in job skill, gender inequality, and healthcare, and even in the financial environment, you see places where it's there. But what is really fundamental to me is empowerment begins with small but yet meaningful steps that bring a positive change. And that's important as we look at where we're going with this. Part of it is even going back to the individual with their self image and how you work and how do you lay a strong foundation in the society to go ahead and look at female empowerment, female entrepreneurship, female advancement, and how all of those go. The other thing that really struck me well is I was looking at some of the tokenizations recently, and there's actually a woman empowerment token that is available in the crypto world to support and enhance the empowerment of women in the marketplace and in society. So to me, it's a movement that is there. It has significant impact. The percentage of uh, women who are breaking the glass ceiling continues to go up. You have governments, particularly where there's a quotient for happiness in almost all of the countries where there's a quotient for happiness. The leadership is female, so very positive impact. Still a lot to do, but the foundation is laid to move forward, I believe.
Thank you, Professor David Smith. We have our politicians, Jennifer. Jennifer, how you want to define women empowerment? Especially, I want to add few points. In the COVID-19 situations, economics definitely right now in a challenging situation. If we focus on the developing world, definitely we get some views from Diani from Africa. Women has a lot of challenges, uh, especially they lose their jobs. Uh, Second things like economically there are a lot of unemployments, but fact is that women actually contributing for the household related things in the developing world, but still there are a lot of discriminations. As a politicians, how you want to define these issues and how we can solve this problem?
Mm. Yeah, it's this pandemic that we've been going through has caused a lot of new challenges in a lot of different ways. Unfortunately, it is something that we have never really dealt with before. We have had pandemics, obviously, in our history, but not of this type of magnitude really before. So it's affecting a lot of different things. Um, it's it's always challenging. It's been challenging. It's been challenging for women all along. What really is important is just to try to have equality amongst the two genders. Not for men to be surpassing women when it comes to these types of things, or even for women to be surpassing men. Just but for everybody to be looked at equally, regardless of what their gender is. Really, I think is a main topic, and that's something that we're facing, whether there's a pandemic or not. But as you mentioned, because of the pandemic, a lot of the things that are the women are experiencing more unemployment and things like that, because they're taking care of the household duties. Uh, it's it's tough to say how to just solve that immediately. This is it. Like I said, it's not really a pandemic problem, although the pandemic has worsened it. It's just an equality issue in general. So I think that the best things to do are to try to focus on how to make things more equal amongst everyone. Uh, One thing has to do with stigmas, of thinking that automatically it needs to be the woman that is the person that is, taking care of the household or something like that, which is fine. It's fine if they want to, whoever wants to be doing it. But, if you're forced because of your gender to do things that you're not wanting to do, then that's really where we're getting into the issues. So, to try to work on those type of things.
Mhm. Thank you. Madam Dalsi, I know you are expert from startup industries. So
Hmm.
what's going on inside the startup industry uh, if we want to know about this women empowerment, women leaderships? Uh,
Right. So when it comes to Silicon Valley, it Silicon Valley goes the way of California, and California is very fluid with how it approaches gender and what roles male and females hold in the gender. And there is a huge movement of even eliminating gender uh, pronouns, or very distinctive about your pronouns of how you identify as a gender. So, California honestly is like kind of a test bed of this whole movement of gender fluidity. And Silicon Valley really holds on to that as well, and really jumps into it. And you have a lot of CEOs that are transgender people, that are females, that are homosexual, or queer identifying, and it's not a problem. And the roles that those people hold are very fluid as well. So um, I'm seeing that when it comes to the rest of the world, it is a bit different, and it is a bit difficult to think of uh, roles and genders in that way. Um, but I do have to say that the one thing that is empowering both men and women to be more equal and to be more on the same playing field has been the metaverse, and the ability to wear an avatar that isn't necessarily tied to your gender or tied to your persona, and it can be a completely different persona. And a lot of people are now jumping into the metaverse to do work because of the pandemic. There's a lot of opportunity opening up at Meta and at Apple and at Google right now for different roles in these metaverse settings or these immersive spaces. And when you're in these immersive spaces, you're not wearing yourself, you're wearing a look that you've chosen. So it really does change the game on how people perceive each other, and how work is going to be moving in the future because of the pandemic. The fact that we are now home and we have to jump into these digital spaces to collaborate and to talk to each other and to do work. And we're not necessarily doing that in our own skin, we're doing it in a different skin. So it's just interesting. That's kind of what's happening here in Silicon Valley. It's a lot of change, And I don't know how much of that is actually going to filter out to the rest of the world and catch on and be adopted, or how much of it is just Silicon Valley with a feedback looping itself with its own digital creations of these metaverse spaces that it's making and avatars. Um, but roles for women and roles for men are are very they have kind of equaled out. Um, Although women still get singled out more as far as like being shown as an example or a person to wag a finger at when something bad happens more than the men. You know, men do get away with more nefarious things than the women do. The women, when they get caught, you got Miss Holmes on trial getting, guilty for what she's doing. But I know many other men that have done things in Silicon Valley that should be on trial also and never seen the light of day. So, we still have to deal with those issues. But overall, I think looking forward and seeing how we are all at home. All these new systems are coming up to bring us together closer digitally through the metaverse, through the internet. What does that mean when we're dealing with each other on a gender level? And a lot of women do go in the metaverse and they complain about being sexually harassed once men hear their voice, right? So now there's these voice modifiers that change the voice so you can be anybody you want. So it's just interesting how all of these things are playing out.
Excellent. Madam Richa, I want to know more about the developing world situation right now in this COVID situation, especially India. Billions of people live in India. South Asia is a very big place. Many people live there. I believe as a researcher, glass ceiling factor, gender related issue is a big problem in India, even in South Asia. How you want to define uh, what type of realistic solution we have, especially for solving this women empowerment related problem?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Happy to see you all here after a long time and Happy New Year. So I think COVID or no COVID, I think this situation with women's empowerment and what the realities are on the ground, they remain the same. Maybe COVID has made things harder because it's the women who are supposed to keep the house sanitized and make sure everyone's health is taken care of and so on. So those gender roles exist, and I think for the longest time they will. They have existed. Women will be expected to be the showrunner in the kitchen. They will be expected to take care of the kids and make sure they are raised well, and they will be expected to make sure that healthy food is put on the table. I think the gender roles have not changed, and whether it's the developing world or the developed world, I think India is also is developing really fast. And I think one of the major reasons is that women have started taking more leadership roles and more. They have started taking roles of even in the rural areas. They started taking panchayat roles. We have the village, governance run by the panchayati system, where women are the sarpanches, or they are the heads of the rural communities, and even in cities, that it's a lot of roles as startup owners, as corporate leaders, as teachers, as the local NGO, volunteers. So there are a lot of changes that are happening on the ground, but I do think that for any society, wherever it is, for any society to truly flourish and to truly develop, there has to be respect for women. There has to be equal opportunity given to women. There has to be education for women, because women are the creators of the world, and they are the creators of the society. They give birth, they raise children, they take care and nurture families. I know it goes hand in hand. I'm sure a lot of men are raising eyebrows right now, but I do know that as a mom myself, what is the importance of our role as women in nurturing the society that we do. And I think that if women are empowered, if they are nurtured, they are taken care of, they are they're educated, they are given the decision making power, and they're also given the freedom to make a choice of how they want to live their lives with responsibility. I think that's where we need to head towards, whether the developing world or developed world. I've lived in both, and I do agree that there has to be more work done in the developing countries. But I do know for a fact that there's equal amount of oppression and all kinds of misdeeds that happen against women in the developed world as well. And I think as a world in totality, we need to work towards women being respected more, being honored more, being nurtured more, and having provided that environment where they are taken care of, and then they can take care of the world like you cannot imagine. This is my take on it.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, we have our friends Diani. This is good point that World Talent Economy Forum and Collated Lab working together. We are creating job opportunity in Africa, especially for women. And Collated Lab and World Talent Economy Forum working. We are providing training. Hopefully, we can make a very successful uh, women empowerment projects in Africa. So always I say the World Talent Economy Forum more in action. Yes, dialogue is very important, debate is important, policy development is important, and beside that, we have to take more action. So we started our projects with this collated lab. Thank you for all of your support. I'm Diani, actually doing excellent work in Africa. She is actually collaborating with a lot of women and collaborating with the local ecosystem. So hopefully our support will help to enhance the capacity of Rwanda. So Diani, so how you want to analyze the women empowerment? Especially, I want to know more about African cultures and economy. Diani.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, Mr. President. Hi, everyone. Greetings from Rwanda, our country of thousand hills. Also, hi, Happy New Year from Africa. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here today and on this to embrace this, very important topic to Africa. I can proudly say that in our time we need the woman to lead Africa to the next step. Yeah. So we need women to be empowered in various sectors, particularly to engage them in education so that they can advance through and embrace being more skilled in more sectors. It, wa- it, wa- uh, it has been hard for many African women to join entrepreneurship because most of women grew up, that means that the one who must be at forefront, who must lead. However, in our time, we are required both to support each other. So at this time, not only women from East Africa or from Rwanda, but across Africa, if you go to Zimbabwe, if you go to Ghana, you can see how women are very empowered, how women have been embraced entrepreneurship, whether in the arts and literature, whether in agriculture, also in construction. Even when you go to the roads, you found those women. When you come to East Africa, the same in Kenya, the same in DRC Congo, the same in Rwanda, you found that woman. No time even they have started to engage and also to join TVT schools where they really need to embrace those sectors which have been belong to men. So to this point, we can empower women, as Mr. Sharif mentioned. Yes, we can have some projects to empower women in different sectors. However, we really need also to start with the research policy because there are many policies which are still stuck to women to embrace their dreams or to join those sectors which is stuck by men. Some of those sectors are engineering, also health system, health sector. We still have not capable women who can just join this sector due to various gaps, but we need to encourage them so that they can join. Even some of them, when they started in bachelor, they can't continue to masters. Sometimes they disappear. So we need to encourage, to motivate them. Also, even during their studies in university, so that we can have program to exchange, to talk to them, to motivate them, so that they can be even proactive to be job creators when they left the universities without waiting that they knock on this or for looking for job. So this can't be applied for not only for Rwanda but also for entire Africa. This is major issues, also the same issues for many women. So the other gap is that women they really need to be empowered through capacity building. To this point, I can emphasize on women in agriculture sector. Yes, they may for most of them, mostly women, they are in the agriculture sector in Africa. However, they don't know how to market their product. They don't know how to advance. So they can be empowered through capacity building to manage the how to advertise, also how to use digital matters to extend their business, despite only to cultivate and focus on that. To that, we can also prepare maybe a dialogue with the government representative so that during some project we can implement in Africa, we can invite some African head of state or policymakers so that we can have joining hands and see what to do together because they are the one who can change policies, those policies which are still barrier in some countries. That's a summary, Mr. President. Maybe we can go through. Thanks for your time. Over to you.
Thank you, Diani, for your excellent analysis. Professor David Smith, you are one and only man representative for this dialogue. What actually, I'm also man. So what actually man can do, create a positive environment in corporation for women?
Well, I do feel outnumbered, but I think that's a good thing. You know, what can man do is you've, Sharif, you've heard me talk many times about how geography is not a point on a map anymore. Geography is where you find the competencies and capabilities you need to be successful and to do what you need to do. I think when it comes to equality and empowerment, the same definition applies. Uh, it's really where you find the competencies and capabilities that are necessary to do what you need to do, whether it's different sexes, whether it's different nationalities, whether it's different backgrounds. Uh, when you have the competencies and capabilities, I personally believe that that is how businesses get ahead. That's how academia gets ahead. That's how government should get ahead, is looking at the competencies and capabilities of everyone you have. And there's many places where the males and females have different advantages just naturally based on our backgrounds. Um, and we see that happening all the time. Um, I can tell you if I look, for example, in the companies I've been involved with, in the HR roles, in diversity roles, uh, increasingly in accounting and others, uh, women really have a significant advantage in those, and it's hard to break in. Um, we're seeing a lot more. Jennifer now mentioned earlier the decision that came down in the fraud case yesterday, and uh, that's the flip side of it. She has one of the most severe penalties of any of men or women in Silicon Valley coming out of that.
That was
And
Dulcie that mentioned that.
yeah, I mean, so you see that there. But if you come, for example, here in Austin, where I live, uh, in the business workforce, uh, it is about equal now, if not shifted over. A couple of years ago, I looked into academia, and today in the average master's program, there's more females involved in master's programs than there are males. In the PhD programs, it's about 50-50 today. At the University of Texas, in the undergraduate program, it's 58% female. So the opportunities are continuing to rise that way if you just go back and look at the numbers. Um, Yes, is there catch up that needs to happen? 1000%. But I'm seeing that happen quite a bit now. In a meeting I was in recently in Dallas of CEOs, the room was about 60% female. And in talking about compensation bands, some of them were in the top compensation bands, and it's beginning to be distributed quite a bit more equitably today than it would have been 5 years ago. So I think I'm seeing a lot of progress in business, uh, seeing a lot of progress in the political realm too. Uh, I don't think I'd ever encourage people to go into politics, so my hat's off to you for doing that, particularly in the city where you live. But you see that becoming more equal as well and surpassing it. And it's a good thing to begin to represent. The one cautionary tale I will put on the table, though, is we see this as a pendulum, and the pendulum does swing back and forth on it. And we have swung far on several of the extremes to the detriment of others on the other side of the pendulum swing. And we just need to remember that there is a center place on this, and that we need to make sure in businesses and governments and society we recognize that and not exclude others that we don't mean to exclude by making sure we put the emphasis on the other side of the pendulum swing. So Sharif, that's kind of my comments, and and thank you. I do feel outnumbered, like I said.
Yes, thank you. Jennifer, there are some questions from audience, especially Onika Shams. Her question is about how we can develop, how we can empower women in underdeveloped country, and what is the advantage and disadvantage of women empowerment. So, Jennifer, how you want to answer this question?
There may be some other women here that are in some countries that may be able to speak on this better than I am, because I'm not in an underdeveloped country. So, but I think kind of what the theme that everybody's been bringing up, whether we're in what's considered a developed country or not an underdeveloped country, is education is huge. Being able to make sure that people have equal access to education. It really just keeps boiling down to equality, because again, it's not that we want women to even surpass men in different things either. We just want people to be treated equally and not be judged by what their gender is. Education is a big thing for anyone, regardless of gender, to try to make sure that they can have say in the way that things are developing. Traditionally, a lot of things have been skewed towards men this whole time. Running businesses, running for office, and it, just to try to be encouraging that. And I think that starts even in the younger years too, not even just college, but encouraging women more and more, to be able to go after these positions that were traditionally for men. It varies by country, obviously, because there's places as where David was speaking, and Dulcia was saying, out here in California and things, that there is a lot of equality that's happened already, but obviously we're hearing, in underdeveloped countries that we're still experiencing a lot of problems with that. And we're still experiencing problems with it in developed countries. I mean, it is still there. It's not like it doesn't need to be worked on still. But encouraging education, encouraging beyond just education, leadership. To develop leadership qualities, marketing, as Diane was mentioning, is very important to be able to get your ideas through. I think that's something that really should be taught to everyone, being in the type of world that we're in. You can have some great ideas, but if you can't get them out there, communicate them out to people, then you can't get them through either. So I think a big thing too is to try to connect with as many people in as many areas, where they've already had some success in developing these, equal opportunities, to try and see, float around what systems would work for you in your area. Because there a lot of times places have already tried things and not had success with it. And just because somewhere had success with it doesn't necessarily mean that your area will. But if you're able to connect, to as many people as possible and work on that, you can help to implement those type of things in your area. It really depends on the country. Some things are so restricted too, still, unfortunately, by even religious belief, or some type of very deep set societal belief system that is not allowing for women to be equal. But those things can start to change with really education. Is like, it's always a key thing, to be educating people to think past these things that have been restricting certain groups of people previously.
Thank you, Dulcie. You are expert, definitely from Silicon Valley. Like technology, even we are observing in India, in Malaysia, even in Rwanda, like uh, women empowerment strategy actually depends on a lot of technological enhancement. Like if women develop their skills and knowledge in modern science and engineering, it helps them a lot. Specifically, uh, according to, like, I do some research on women empowerment. Uh, we need to create more women in the STEM area, science, technology, engineering, and management
Yeah.
area. So, what is your advice? How we can develop better strategy for women?
Um, so I want to echo what Jennifer said. Education is probably the number one thing, right? And also encouraging young girls to be artists is another thing. I think both men, boys, and girls lately have been pushed away from the arts, but I think women specifically should be more trained artistically. In my mind, because we are creators, we're natural creators, right? So, and right now the tool sets, technology wise, have become easier to use, and we don't necessarily need to be super technical coders as much as we have in the past. And some of these tool sets are opening up to be more creative and more artistic. And I'm specifically pointing towards immersive experiences and immersive rooms or augmented reality, and virtual reality. Those tools have become easy to use, and it's now just limited by your imagination and what you can achieve. And a lot of the code that builds the magic behind these spaces are now developed in a way that they're kind of like building blocks. So you just basically take nodes, object nodes, and put them together with other object nodes to make an interaction. And they're labeled very plainly, and it's very easy to figure out if you're creative, right? So I think encouraging arts, encouraging music, and encouraging writing and expression are probably the key things that will really help empowering women across the world to express themselves and to be more a part of this movement that's happening. I do see a domination of men in spaces like NFTs and in spaces like, you know, building out virtual goods and virtual spaces. And the idea that if you want to have these kinds of experiences, you have to go to Google, you have to go to Meta, or you have to go to Apple to give those things to you, when in reality, you don't. You just need an ISP, an internet domain, and a website, and you can build these experiences yourself. And that's how prevalent the tool sets are, and how easy they are right now. So I think the best advice I can give to women in undeveloped countries and in spaces is to, you know, become artists, express yourself artistically. The tools are there. Once you start expressing yourself in that way, you'll start thinking of all kinds of interesting solutions for these spaces that probably do not exist at all right now, but are needed. And I think that's a big issue right now in Silicon Valley, is that a lot of people are very logical, and they are, you know, very left brain, and they're figuring out systems, but they're only seeing it from one angle. And I think creative women can really come in and show different angles, and impart different perspectives that don't come naturally to, you know, engineers or to men, you know. So that's the best advice I could give.
Just in general, I just want just in general,
Thank you.
learning art is wonderful, just to be able to get out what's in your brain. You know, sometimes you have a wonderful image, but you can't translate it out into paper. So yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you. Richa, I think there is a specific question from Mr. Iftekhar. I think already he's also our Honorable Board of Advisor from the World Talent Economy Forum. How has it changed over the last decade? And what is your opinion is its current status?
Okay, I think thank you for this wonderful question, Mr. Sir. So I think I'll be more excited to answer the first part of the question, which is from the ancient times, India has been known for the place where women have been worshipped. Our goddesses, you all know about, right? Women have been worshipped. They have been more powerful than men in so many cases. Women have had access to spiritual knowledge. Women have never been excluded from the way we pray, or the way we access the spiritual knowledge out there. Women have been out there. We have, in fact, if you look at some of the cultures in the eastern parts of the country, like West Bengal, you go to Gujarat, you go to Uttarakhand, there are goddess temples and all. And I'm telling you a fact. What what we have learned in India is that these goddesses, or these gods that become gods or goddesses, they some of them were actually just common people who prayed and prayed, and took their spiritual power to that level. So even these villages, they have their own goddesses, and they have their own structure of these local authorities, spiritual authorities that rule. So a lot of them are women, and I think that this whole discussion for me, it swings between the extremes of women being goddesses versus women needing basic education. I think that, and if the question is, oh, how things have changed in the past decade, I wouldn't say past decade much has changed, but I would say that over the past few centuries, things have deteriorated so much, because in India we have started adapting the norms of the world, so to say, to be our own. So we are a very empowered society in general to start with, but because of the amount of attacks, the number of attacks we've had, the number of intrusions we've had from foreign powers, that we have had to protect our women. We have had to be excessively protective of them. We've had to cover them. We've had to shelter them. We've had to make them unnaturally protected and extremely scared. The whole environment has changed. The whole environment has deteriorated to an extent that we ourselves don't recognize India for women the way it used to be. So you bringing this point today is very relevant because we need to make India as a role model in this regard and see how women were empowered to such a degree that they became goddesses, that they are worshipped as goddesses. And the whole world needs to learn from that, I guess. And even today, for example, in the past, now if I go to the way things have changed, at least from my perspective, I've past 10 years I've been in India. Before that, I lived in New York, and before that, I was in Canada for a couple of years. And the way I'm seeing India in the past 10 years that I've been here now in Bangalore, from Bangalore, I'm seeing the rest of the country, and I feel that there is a huge number of women who are taking charge. There is a huge number, increasing number of women who are getting connected, who are making these forums, these platforms, these organizations, where they are coming out and saying, hey, you know what, enough. Enough of whatever, enough of oppression, enough of whatever you thought we needed. Now we are going to rule. So there is a huge spurt in women-led organizations, startup organizations. A lot of women are joining hands to do things that they were earlier not able to do because of the fear of being attacked or the fear of being intruded upon or whatever. When I was in my college days, I used to go to the Parliament House, and there is a beautiful library in our Parliament in Delhi, in the Indian Parliament, and there was a book I read which I cannot forget. It was a book on the India-Pakistan division and partition, and it was about how the Kashmiris suffered, how the people in Kashmir suffered during those days, and there were stories of women who jumped into wells to save their dignity, women who were just pushed into the wells so that they were not raped or they were not they were not killed or raped or kidnapped or whatever. So that is where we were just a few decades back. From there to now, we are doing well. I think we have still got a long way to go as far as our semi-urban and rural women go, but I think we are on the right track. If we keep working towards women getting more opportunity to work and study and also take decisions, and as I said earlier, take leadership roles, I think we are on a good track, and we already have the history and the legacy of women being spiritually empowered. I think that should take care of us for the years to come. Thank you for the question.
May I, hi Richa, it was really nice listening to your views. May I just add a little bit? I mean, the word, especially about Indian women, I like to jump in there and speak about it. So for the benefit of those listening, I think India has always been a very, of course, Richa made a mention of, the goddesses. We all believe that each one of us as women, we're an incarnation of the Shakti in the real sense, when translated, means strength. And she's really depicted as a tall, huge woman with not a huge as in not physically huge, but huge woman with too many hands around. There are at least 10 hands which kind of represent each facet of the woman, and how she carries the strength in terms of those 10 hands, and how she protects. She's the nurturer, she's the creator, she's even the destroyer of evil in those many words. But having said that, I think for centuries on end, India has been a very patriarchal society, and where it was very, very male dominated. But having said even that, Indian women within their own communities, within their own societies, or the societies there were very matriarchal in that sense, that very some of the communities, so like she rightly mentioned, in West Bengal, or whether it is down south in some of the southern states, or whether it is in Maharashtra, very, very strong women who were kind of developed. And from a very young age, they were handed over the swords, they were handed over, weaponry, they were given weapon training, and they were actually during our pre-independence period, a lot of women warriors actually entered into the independence struggle. So right from, if you must have heard about the Rani of Jhansi, the warrior queen, she was the one. She got married at the age of I think she was married off at about 15 odd or so, and she entered into the family, and her husband died in early death, and she had a son to take care of whom they had adopted, and the British did not want him to kind of succeed to the throne. And then at hardly about 23 or 24, she was killed because she fought the British with such valor. And and there are so many stories. And you would have possibly heard about the king in Maharashtra called Chhatrapati Shivaji, and he was brought up by a very, very strong woman. And from there on, the women have been the strength in each of their families, and they are the ones who've really created strong men in that many words, right? So I think that somewhere down the line, as modernization happened, somewhere the women started feeling a little more inferior. And of course there was by design as well, that they were kept either a little less educated, they were married off, there were a lot of atrocities against the women, which thanks to the British, a lot of things changed over there as well. A lot of Indian reformists also came about, and they brought about changes in the Indian women's lives. There was the Indian National Army, which was created by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, who fought alongside our regular armies as well, and was very, very instrumental in our freedom. There was a women's wing created under the Indian National Army, and that was led by a woman. Her name was, and they called it the Rani Jhansi wing, and her name was Captain Lakshmi. And she led the entire team into the trenches with the Japanese, with the Singaporeans, and everything. And they were there in the middle of the battle. Today, so many years later, or decades later, the National Defense Academy, and that's the latest development, which is why I'm talking about the National Defense Academy, which is like the crucible of, and it's almost like the Sanders of the world, and that level of academy where young boys used to be recruited to become army officers or Indian Armed Forces officers. They, for the first time in history, they've recruited women officers, and women at the age of 17 and 18 have now started entering into that place. So it's a sea change in terms of the thinking. Somewhere women down the line, I thought, have started sort of feeling a little more inferior. They started feeling a little worried. They started thinking that they were the weaker sex in the literal form, and which is why the entire scheme of empowerment really needed to happen. Because we had the first prime minister of the country was a woman. Not the first prime minister, but the first woman prime minister was a very, very strong woman, Indira Gandhi, and she literally gave the world a tough time as far as being a strategist and a strong decision maker. So nobody could beat her standard. We had a woman president very lately. So I think women have, when they believe that they have the power within them, that's when they can really come to the fore. The moment a woman starts feeling, oh, I'm the weaker sex, I need to be protected, I need to be empowered by somebody, that's when you start needing somebody else to give you that empowerment, and you are not taking that charge yourself. So until such time that happens, nobody is going to be able to give you that power. So that's my firm belief. And I think if I would have had a daughter, I would have brought her up like that, you can go do what you want, and you think that you have the strength in you, and you have the belief in you, and you can go win the world. I tell my sister that. My sister is like a daughter. She's about 10 years younger to me, and we both are very, very strong women, brought up by a strong mother. And we believe that we can conquer the world in we've worked shoulder to shoulder in a man's world. So I think that's it's all about here. It's all about the mindset. It's all about how you think and how you feel. So I thought I just needed to add in that little bit, and kind of cover the entire spectrum, while Risha gave a very beautiful account of about the deities and how we really worship the deities. And for every small little thing that we start and we initiate, we have the Lord of Wisdom and Knowledge, who's called the elephant god for the Western world, who don't really know by the name. We bring him into the fore, as well as the female form of the deity is brought in. And and she is worshipped to bring in the female element as well. So that's what it is believed. And just to on a parting note, as as per the Hindu thought process, or as per the Hindu mythology, uh, a man and a woman is really not separate, is what they say. That every woman has a man inside her in some sense or the other, which is why you have a left brain and a right brain. Because a man thinks very, very left brain oriented, hardly ever a right brain oriented, and a woman thinks the right brain oriented, right? So we call them, which is why a wife is called as an ardhangini. Ardhangini is, ardha is half, and angini is a body. So half of my body belongs to a woman and half of my body is a man. That is where the constitution of the man and the woman in the same body is how it exists. So that's how we believe in the Indian mythology, to be the constitution of a human being.
Thank you. Thank you. This is
Thank you
actually
so
excellent
much. That was
discussions.
amazing. Thank you very much. I really appreciated everything you just said.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Diani, what you want to add from Africa, especially, thank you, Madam Aparna. You bring the point of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. I'm actually a big fan of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So this is really inspirational story, and we should do more research on story, like history, and we have to bring the right kind of history in front of our audience. Diani, can you hear me? Diani? I'm sorry. Yeah. So what you want to add from Africa, because our Indian guest, they actually brings many interesting points. So we love to learn more about women empowerment, historical evidence from Africa.
Yes, thank you so much. What we are doing, or what we are here to do in our time, is that African women could be empowered in entrepreneurship. Yeah, because when through entrepreneurship, it will reduce up to 80% of GBV, which happen in our families, in our communities. Because what we have assessed in Africa is that when women are, they create a job or they have something to do, they contribute to at the family, and it reduce GBV matters which happen. Yeah. To this point, entrepreneurship, it must be a strong key for women, also to strengthen the sustain empowerment, women empowerment in Africa. Entrepreneur education first, as some of our speakers mentioned. Yes, Jennifer, Deuce, and the others, as you mentioned, education is a key, and education, it must be like a bridge for African women to achieve our dreams. Second point is that government, policy makers, stakeholders, partners, and the other empowered women, we can be at the forefront to support other women to engage them in entrepreneurship, also in business. And through business, we must link it to digital matters. No time, most of our African women, they really need to be engaged in digital matters. They really need to be trained through capacity building. They need to be trained in entrepreneurship, but also at the same time, how to use technology matters in their daily business. Because if we said we empower them, so where exactly are we going to empower them? Let's focus on entrepreneurship at the same time. Let's empower them through technology. If we empower technology, African women in technology, we empower a nation. In our context, Africans, we say that women are nation. So we need to step in to not only always use woman is nation. We need to meet it in an action. So we need to make that works so that woman can be can be writing at any African countries, which can reduce more problems, particularly conflict among families. At the same time, conflict among countries. Women can solve many problems if they're empowered. So together we can make this. Whether you are from Europe, Asia, America, Pacific, please join us so that we can do something for African women. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Diani. There is one question for me from Mr. Iftekhar. Thank you for bringing this very good point. Yes, Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anhu, she was wife of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, actually, my friend Diani actually described some point about women entrepreneurships. She was a very successful woman entrepreneurships, and she support historically she support Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is also a very good example. Like history, actually very good point where we can learn. So actually, women empowerment and entrepreneurship. This is actually it has a long history. So step by step, we are observing different view, different things. But definitely, still we believe that we have to do a lot of work in the women empowerment, especially even the modern corporation. We are doing more work on research, artificial intelligence, different kind of technological innovation, but still women empowerment is major issues. So that's why I believe that if we want to make a sustainable economy, definitely we need to think about women. We need to create more leadership opportunity for women. Even we need to create opportunity them for from the parliament, from corporations, from academy, everywhere we have to create some opportunity. This is really great discussion, and I believe from this discussion we can create some strategy and we can work together and we can implement different strategy, and especially our speakers from different countries, from developed world, from developing worlds, and there is a man and women. So that is the beauty of World Talent Economy Forum. We are trying to connect with as much as possible with different people. We arrange this kind of open dialogue. We arrange different kind of conference. We are arranging summit on public-private partnership. And yes, we have a debate. Every Friday we have a debate. It's definitely Asian parliamentary format debate. So I request everyone, you can join, you can observe our debate. Many famous people from around the world, they join in this debate. And we have more interesting plan. We are working with collated lab in Africa. We are empowering women and we are creating job opportunities. So I request all of our partners, those who join World Talent Economy Forum, developing world needs support. Yes, developed world also needs support. So we need to work together. That is the learning from COVID-19 situations, that who is from developed world, who is from developing world, that is not a matter is that as a human we have to work together. Like today's discussion, there are different race, different colors, different countries representative actually join in this dialogue, but everyone has one view, that how we can develop a better world, how we can develop a better strategy. This is the view. So this is the positive intention we have. So I always request all of the famous speaker around the world, please join World Talent Economy Forum. Go for open dialogue. Open dialogue is the way how we can actually solve many problems. So I believe that if we go for open dialogue, the world's at least 70% problem will be solved. Most of the problem will be solved, even in the corporations. If you have a problem with leadership, glass ceiling factors, any kind of problem, if you go for open dialogue, maximum problem will be solved. So that is the way of our strategy, and hopefully soon we can develop more projects and we can create more opportunity for the global community. So this is an excellent discussion. I request all of our audience, please share our content as much as possible. I directly want to go for concluding remarks. First, I request Madam Dulcie, what's your concluding remarks?
Yeah, I actually got to jump off, but my concluding remarks are education, of course, and I love the conversation about goddesses and how women were empowered in the past. That is such a fascinating topic to me, and honestly, I think the world right now is really has been going through the Kali energy, like the builder and the destroyer. Like she's here right now. She is wreaking havoc on the planet, and she's changing things as we're speaking. And I've been feeling her energy for years now. So it's very fascinating that you brought that up. But yeah, I love the
Wow.
conversation. I think it's a great conversation. We should keep having it and keep going, ladies. You guys are amazing. And thank you, David. You're an amazing person. Also, you give a lot of really good, valuable feedback to us. And I really appreciate it as well. So thank you, Sharif. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Dulcie, for joining today's session. Professor David Smith, what's your concluding remarks? Professor David Smith, yes.
Thank you so much for those kind words. I echo what has been said so far. I did like the goddess analogy too.
I don't have an answer for that.
I would like to see what that really translates to me as well too with my inner self there. But very good topic as we look at it. Um, there are excellent examples globally of women empowerment. Uh, there's excellent examples where it has changed communities, changed companies, changed regions, and we should take the examples and learn from them, and begin to apply them as best practices globally. Um, it is really takes the total ecosystem to support empowerment. And this type of empowerment, we really need to move through the ecosystem and start it early in life, start it in academia, start it as we go through companies, through governments, and it should just be the way of life. So, Sharif, thank you for having me as part of this panel with all the folks who are so aptly representing themselves. So, thank you.
Thank you, Professor David Smith, for your continuous support for World Talent Economy Forum. Jennifer, you are a politician, so what's your view about this point, and what's your concluding remarks?
Static on my end, I'm sorry.
Yes. What's your concluding remarks, Jennifer?
I agree with what you guys were saying, especially about the open dialogue. I think that is really important. We have I think something that affects empowerment and affects our problem solving in the world is not having open dialogue. You know, we have had a lot of competitive systems, operating systems in place in the world, and that has restricted a lot. It's restricted a lot of education. It's restricted a lot of being able to solve problems. And the more that we can start to work on having collaborative systems and open dialogues, as you were mentioning, the more that we're going to be able to put everyone forward, you know, that wishes to do it, and really work on these problems. It's a big issue, especially in politics, you know, too. You know, not just in politics, really just the whole way that we operate. That if we are pitting ourselves against one another and closing ourselves off from sharing ideas because we want it to be ours, you know, and this matter to have some type of advantage over other people, then that is so restrictive to us as a society, and being able to get these things solved. You know, we really need to look at what other people are doing in other areas, other countries, see if they have already resolved, you know, issues that our area is facing, or we have resolved issues that their area is facing, you know, and try and, as David was saying about the best practices, I think that's a very good idea, because there are areas that have already made changes in their operating systems, the way that they operate, to have resolved a lot of issues already. You know, they don't have as many issues with equality. Some places really have almost no type of issue with equality at all. You know, they have education for everyone in their area that wants it. They don't really have, you know, homelessness issues. They don't really have healthcare issues. They don't have these, you know, these type of things that other places do. So, you know, trying to work all together as much as possible. And you know, that's what this forum is trying to do, is to really be a think tank of people from you know, all over the world, to try and get these issues resolved. And it's really beautiful. So the more of that collaboration that we can do, it's really going to be the best way to change the way we operate around the world.
Thank you, Jennifer. Madam Richa, what's your concluding remarks?
Yeah, so I think Jennifer has very beautifully put one point across that we need to be non-competitive or non-challenging of each other right now. I think women need to join hands. I think we need to help each other. And in some forums, I've actually heard of this idea that women are actually sometimes their worst enemies. Like we compete, we backbite, we do all kinds of fun stuff, but I think we need to find a way to now change the way we operate, and we need to support each other genuinely. We need to have compassion towards each other and understand that, you know what, there's a very beautiful philosophy that we are all nothing but drops of the same ocean. So how can one drop be any different from another drop, whether a man or a woman? We're all drops of the same ocean. So when we are drops of the same ocean, what is the whole purpose of competing, or the whole purpose of pulling each other down, or finding even difference between us? There's no difference. I think wherever we are drops of the same ocean. We are little elements of the same mega element. Let's please not forget that we all come from the same source. We are all one. We are one world, men, women, animals, plants, all humanity, all of creation is from one source. So I think that we need to join hands and believe that. I think there is a lot of healing and a lot of power in that thought. That is one very important thought that I have. We need to support each other because we need to believe that we are one and genuinely believe it, not just for a show or not just to prove to the world, but genuinely believe we are one. The second thing is that I think as we speak here, we are all women and men in cities and with good, with good food on the table and good houses to live in and so on. But I work in the rural areas around the country through my organization, Narayana's Art Nirbhar Bharat Foundation, and we are working in the rural areas in the remotest parts of the country in the Himalayas, in the south of the country, in East India, in so many places, and the situation in the rural parts of India is still, there's so much to be done. There's so much work to be done. There's so much left to do. That some things that I do as a norm, as an everyday thing, are like frowned upon or a big deal. Oh my God, she's doing this, or oh my God, these. So there is so much a disparity. So when I go to these rural areas to work, we try to empower artists through our organization and give them work. So when we work with women, their world is totally different in rural areas. They are still washing dishes with hands. They are still spending their time in doing the daily chores, and they don't have any priority given to earning or working. It's about getting married and having kids and all that. So I think the social norms need to be reassessed. They need to be reassessed for what is working with today's scenario and what's not working. We need to reassess our reality and need to recreate the reality, because we recreated reality some 70, 80 years back when we got attacked, and then again we recreated reality some 200, 300 years back. Then again we recreated reality. Every time in history there's a major change in our dynamics, there's a major shift in the dynamics of the way the world is working. We recreate our reality, don't we recreate the social norms. As I said earlier, we were never such a controlled or such a protected community. Now we are, because of the reality. Again, today we need to reassess. During COVID, how many families have got completely penniless? There are people, last year in India, there were people committing suicide every day because they could not bear the financial burden. In that scenario, would you not suggest women to be earning members of their families? Or would you protect them and keep them at home to just do the dishes or just take care of the kids? No, you can't. So you need to wake up to the realities of today's world, and you need to reassess and you need to redefine the norms for women and men all alike, and especially in the rural areas where there is so much helplessness and there's so much dependence on men to do pretty much everything. I think we need to reassess and redesign this world, so to say.
Definitely, Richard. That is our objective. That we have to rebuild this new world. This is new opportunities for us that we can rebuild everything. This is also one of our objective of World Talent Economy Forum. Madam Diani, what's your concluding remarks for today?
First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I would like to add that together we can empower women, but by action now, because we have been talking women empowerment, but in some corners, some areas, we still have an issue that there is no fact implementation, which have been done, where women have hit women empowerment on radios, they watch on TVs, but mostly there is a still percentage of women who haven't yet embraced what I mean. I mean within action, not like healing. So we need that woman in within the next 5 to 10 years they can define themselves. We can see action which define woman empowerment rather than woman empowerment by just healing, listening all that. To this point, for instance, in Africa, we start doing policy research within a key study. Maybe let me take one country or two countries in East Africa, each West Africa, two countries. Then we can have like six countries in Africa to do research. How is women empowerment in our time? Then even Africa Union or other institutions, we can do research and see what could be changed, what policy can be added, what can be changed, so that we can really embrace this woman empowerment in real way. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Madam Aparna, what's your concluding remarks for today?
As the last speaker here, I think it was, I missed quite a lot. I'm sorry, I was on another call. The call got extended, so I couldn't join in. But from the few conversations that I heard, they're very, very interesting conversations, and perhaps all of us, at the heart, we're all we're all saying the same thing, that one is, women need to be women's best advocates and buddies and friends, and we need to be promoting each other and not pulling each other down, because like Richa rightly said, I think a woman is a woman's worst enemy when it comes to that, and we've seen this for centuries on end, not just a few years ago. Centuries on end, this has been the case, and this is the case world over, not just in India. So the other aspect that I feel is critical to empowerment is knowledge. So the moment you have a woman educated, they say, the moment you have a man educated, they say that it is him who's educated. But the moment you have a woman who's educated, you have an entire family, therefore an entire community, therefore an entire society, and therefore an entire nation who really gets educated and who gets impacted by that. So if we concentrate on women education and bringing in knowledge to them, that is when they will start feeling empowered. That is when they will start really, and I'm speaking this more from an Indian perspective, because there is the rural India and there is the urban India. They're two separate, completely diverse, kind of units completely. So if I have to look at the some elements of the rural India, then definitely the woman feels less empowered or not empowered at all, because she's not educated enough. She's not educated enough to take on the responsibilities of the family. She's not educated enough to go out and fend for herself. She doesn't, though a lot of communities or a lot of NGOs are working around, creating these self-help groups and creating employment for even rural women. But a lot of concentration needs to be given to bringing up the knowledge of these women, whether in the rural or in the urban area. That is when they will start feeling well equipped to face today, tomorrow, and the future as it comes around. So I think that's my parting note on that.
Thank you, everyone. This is really great discussion. I'm sure for our audience, it's really valuable. I request all of our audience, please share our content. We just finished 453 episodes, so we try to engage with more than 300 speakers from around the world. We have people from politics, we have people from academy, we have people from industry, and most important thing is that we are very much focused on talent economy. These are the people, those who are talent, those who are actually solving their problem in their local economy. Someone from USA, someone from Africa, someone from India, someone from Malaysia, all of them actually trying to help their community. That is important for World Talent Economy Forum. This is the way we can work together, we can collaborate together, we can help each others. And our dream, our World Talent Economy Forum dream, we want to minimize the gap in between developed world and the developing worlds. So hopefully with all of your contributions, we can minimize the gap as well as we can solve many problems. And I always request developing world has a lot of challenges, lot of problems. So developed world, they have to contribute more. The more entrepreneur has to come to solve this problem. If all of the entrepreneurs can work together and collaborate together, maybe we can solve many problems. So we focus on women entrepreneurships, we focus on even toilet related activities, we focused on different kind of debating issues, sustainable development goal, climate change, industry 4.0. So major focus our, we have to develop a knowledge based economy. So definitely we need more educated people, we need to educate more people. So we have our school of talent economy. In this school of talent economy, we try to train more people. So we need more of your support. The more you can support World Talent Economy Forum, we can solve millions of people problem. And especially we need to engage with grassroots level people, because many largest corporations, they come to the developing nations, but still there are a lot of area we need to cover. So thank you everyone for joining today's session. Thank you Professor David Smith, Jennifer, Madam Richa, Diana, Madam Aparna, for your continuous support for World Talent Economy Forum. Thank you our audience, especially the audience is very important. We need more of your support. Please subscribe our YouTube channels, support World Talent Economy Forum. Hopefully with your support, we can solve this women empowerment related challenge. Thank you, bye bye, and take care.